Hi, everybody. Welcome to COVID-19, the opportunities you didn't think of. I am your host, Casey Wallace, and with us today are a duo team of authors, practitioners, speakers, inspirationalists worldwide that have had an extraordinary experience between the two of them. They share an experience quite in alignment with each other. And they took that experience and decided to let that transform the direction that their lives took, which has been the most positive thing for us out there, and to be able to receive their wisdom and their guidance on many, many levels. We're going to let them talk to you. David Dachinger had an extraordinary, expandable experience through cancer. We're going to let him talk about that. And then, of course, as relationships and partnerships align with themselves, Tamara Green was able to come into assisting him. Together they came up with practices and concepts usable in this experience that are also extremely tangible and usable for all of us in our continued wellness, raising our frequency, becoming more than we are. So without any further ado, I want to introduce David and Tamara to you and let you sit back and enjoy their energetic space and come away from this program with greater wisdom and insight. Thanks, guys, for being with us today.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you, Casey.
Very happy to be here talking to you and sharing some of our experience and rolling it out there in the world, because as we know, right now is a time of extreme uncertainty and energetic shift. So we'll tell you a little bit about our story, and then we'll fast forward to today and how does that all relate to what's going on in the world today. 2013, I was having my hair cut and the barber noticed a lump on my neck, which was completely I had no consciousness about it whatsoever. That led to a bunch of diagnostic tests, doctor's visits, and the 5 words that no one ever wants to hear: you have stage 4 cancer. This is a moment when I know I wasn't present. I was totally in shock, overwhelmed, numbness, and thankfully my wonderful wife was there to receive this information and receive the gravity of those 5 words. So our lives got changed instantly to going from working, normal life, doing the things that we all have taken for granted, like eating, sleeping, working out, and turned into like a complete focus on treatment for cancer. I chose to go the traditional route, so it was chemotherapy, radiation, and ultimately surgery. And again, thankfully, I had my wonderful wife there who was able to just be present and be a loving source of support every step of the way. Now, to me, that was the most important component of the whole journey, to have our relationship change perspective from being a normal married couple to now we're in this bubble of us versus going from wellness to sickness and journeying back to wellness together. And so that took us new places in our relationship that were completely new, and I would say in the long run were incredibly expansive. So today I'm cancer-free and I'm incredibly grateful, and it's been an opportunity to take what we learned and pay it forward. Some of the things that I learned was in a position of being at rock bottom, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, due to the treatment, due to the severity of the disease, due to my life going to a place where I was not a productive person. And from there, the only place to go really is up, to take that opportunity. And that's what I saw it as, an opportunity to press the reset switch and see what I could do different, what I could take away from this to reinvent myself and repurpose my life to make sense. And so I was blessed by having people that helped me through it, to guide me through it, to give me support, physical support, emotional support. And at the end of the day, we arrived at a place where we created something we call loving meditations. And that took a lot of the pain points that we experienced in our cancer journey, and we were able to create products and techniques from that that would help other people. And as we see it now, it's not just the cancer journey, but it's any major illness, pretty much touches on all the pain points of uncertainty, anxiety, fear, discomfort,
Depression,
being more aware of your body and how that plays a role, the relationship that we have with our bodies, and so much more. So that's kind of a capsulation of what we went through and where we've arrived today.
I want to jump in here really quickly because obviously, of course, this is, for many people, this situation right now is like having a transformational illness or chronic condition. Some people, of course, actually physically have contracted this virus, and of course we send them blessings and magical journey for them. But just the fear component wrapped around the possibility of it is, for some, extremely debilitating. And so these conversations and these techniques that you are provided are right in alignment with assisting everybody out of that space. So David, I know in my own heart, just sitting here listening to your story, especially with beautiful Tamara sitting next to you, that you now perceive this cancer as a gift, right? That wake-up call, that total shift in how you are existing, who you are being, how you know yourself. And coming out of this experience, that must be one of the largest experiences in you knowing your power, right? Instead of knowing your weakness and your victimhood with the disease, but to shift it not only into a healing, but into a transformational component for yourself, that must level you up in your self-empowerment platform as well. What would you say to that?
Without a doubt, there were quite a few opportunities along that journey in the thick of cancer to change perspective and to change from what's easily could be a negative outlook on life. And this is happening to me. I'm a victim. I have no control over this experience. Those were the pivot points where, thanks to some of Tamara's amazing guidance and some of her wisdom and expertise, I was able to shift from being very negative, depressed, into gratitude, into seeing the positive aspects of this and looking at what else was possible beyond the disease. And so it was a reinvention. It was an opportunity to go deep, to look at the things, the energies, the kinds of thoughts that might have led me to create something like cancer, and then to have the opportunity to change some of that. And some of it is still unfolding today. It doesn't just end when they say you're free of cancer. It's a daily opportunity. But I'd love Tamara to speak to some of that, because she had so much to do with helping me through that, really just creating an environment of love that was in itself transformational.
Oh. Oh, can you see why I love him, Casey?
Yeah, I can. I too have, I have an incredible companion. My husband Brad is extraordinary for me, and of course I can see the energy between the two of you, and so can everybody else. So I know a lot of people are like, man, I wish I had that connected relationship. And we won't get off track here, but everybody can have that connected relationship. And so Tamara, from one woman to the other, from one wife or partner to the other, thank you for being you. I draw my strength from you. You draw your strength from other women and myself as well. We are on that team together where our feminine energy can come in and assist that extraordinary masculine energy that we love so much, because it takes care of us, it protects us, and we're able then to show them that we can equally give them the nurturing strength of love in return to elevate us both up. So thank you so much for that. And I'm going to let you interject here, like David suggested, and give us some of your perspective and your wisdom in how to assist in this extraordinary transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Casey. I totally agree with what you just said. As a psychotherapist, right now it's 26 years, but when 4 days before David was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, our son, who at the time was 13, was diagnosed with Lyme disease. So, and the only member of our immediate family was our daughter, and she was already off to college and out of the house and out of the state. So it was pretty intense, of 2 pretty major illnesses that I was being the caretaker of. And I have to admit, I had a very, very, very stressful, overwhelmed, didn't sleep very well 2 weeks after that, that 4-day period of hearing these 2 major diagnoses. And I'm suddenly wondering, all those things that come to mind. Are they going to be okay? Is David going to live? He's got stage 4 cancer. What am I going to do? What's my role? What doctor do I call first? What do I help him get set up? Blah, 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 right? All that stuff is running through my mind. And one particular evening, I was very stressed out. David had started his treatment and he wasn't doing very well. He wasn't feeling good. Our son was, still not feeling good at all. And I was really hoping that the treatment that he was getting was helping with his Lyme. And I was pretty upset by the time I went to bed, get ready for bed. So I just said, show me a sign, please. Just show me a sign so that I can just breathe a little easier and do what I know I need to do and get back to my normal routine of meditation and gratitude and calm, and all those practices kind of went out the window for a few weeks. Well, it was a particularly icy winter, and that very next morning, early in the morning, it was very, very, very icy. Just everything, it's almost like this coat of ice everywhere. And I noticed, because I wanted to go out and get David's car ready for him to go and get radiation treatment, because he had it first thing in the morning, I noticed that his windshield was completely frosted over. And my windshield too was frosted over, my car, but what it had were these etched in the ice on the outside of my windshield was angel feathers, all etched in this my entire windshield was beautifully, artistically created by, they were angels or fairies or some beautiful beings came down and gave me that message. And it happened, we talked about it quite a bit in our book, Live Calm with Cancer. We have a photo in there of what it looked like. So that was the moment where I said, I can breathe. Okay. We're going to get through this. I'm going to calm down. I'm going to get back to what I do best, which is be in that place of presence. And then more than ever before, I was able to not only have moments of presence, but one of the things that happened for me, which was a deeply expansive and spiritual experience, even more than my usual everyday, was every single moment during the months and months of treatment that David had and our son was going through, I really felt a presence throughout the whole thing. And when you're that present, there's the only way I can describe it is just pure unconditional love. I was in a space of pure unconditional love. So when David's talking about how, it was my presence that helped him get through his darkest times, it was that unconditional love just coming through me. And it was really quite remarkable and beautiful. And some of the things that I learned during that time was, you know how those things you kind of know it intellectually, but you don't know it until you experience it. And one of the things that I really got during that time too was I was able to really release a sense of attachment. I gained so much peace, regardless of what the outcome was. I wasn't attached to, it had to go this way. He had to live. He had the our son, this, that. I really let go of that. And I really felt a sense of true groundedness, centeredness, and peace.
Love this. So the first thing that comes to my mind is that day that you noticed was so frozen. And to me, of course, we're freezing this. Let's just stop right now with what you're doing, and let's redirect you energetically into what's going on. And for you, Tamara, to recognize, it was such a frozen day, and I'm like, yep, that's right. We're gonna freeze the fear. Stop it. Let's show you the love. Let's show you the possibility, which is you in your higher version, which is David in his higher version, and to then allow, you've cleared out the tube, so you're open to that higher frequency receivership of your actions, your thoughts. I want to say something. I appreciate the fact, Tamara, that you were already into meditative practices and things in your life. David, were you already into meditation and things like that, or did this situation open you up really kind of to the suggestion of it?
Well, as it turns out, I had started transcendental meditation in college, and I had that practice for several years and then gradually drifted away from it. I did have a spiritual practice, and the interesting thing is, and this probably also is appropriate for people that are going through medical treatment right now for coronavirus, there is a lot of downtime and a lot of time where you're by yourself getting treatment or waiting for treatment. And those were the moments where I thought, rather than sit in this really unappealing room or being bombarded by really stressful TV programs in the waiting room, I would bring something with me, put on my earbuds, and listen to positive affirmations, meditation, beautiful music, positive, uplifting, beautifully energetic material, so that I wasn't, I was using some of that time productively. And it did start me back towards the path to meditation. And thus, when we finished our cancer journey and I was cleared by the doctor, he's like, how did you get through this with so much ease? Like, you had brutal radiation to your head and neck. You should have lost a lot of weight. You should have been hospitalized. And we said, we've been doing these meditation techniques, gratitude, some body movement. And he lit up and said, I want that for all my patients. We had really touched on something that he had been missing to give to his patients to help them to deal with the stress, anxiety, fear, and uncertainty.
I think, we support in our teachings that your body is thought actualized. And by the time you accumulate a disease or a chronic condition, you're in a pretty deep practice of a form of thought for it to actualize and manifest itself in that direction so steadfastly. To change that pattern, we support is the answer, which supports everything that you guys are demonstrating and doing. David, with everything that you had going on, the medical aspect of it, the side effects from the chemotherapy, the poison in your body, the radiation pounding into your head, and everybody talks about brain fog, the chemotherapy brain. You can't reason, you can't sleep, you can't navigate even your old patterns of thought. To have the wherewithal in the midst, God, talk about distraction that you are causing for yourself. I'm like, you are awesome, man, because you are going to show yourself the ability to stay centered amidst distraction, for God's sakes, and you too, Tamara. And that discipline of, this is what we teach in our practice of spirituality and consciousness, is we have the ability to choose our thoughts and our emotions. So many people, especially right now in this COVID thing, they're being bombarded with the suggestion of thought and reactivity. And without discipline and fortitude, they're allowing themselves to fall into that category. But we have the ability to choose. We choose all the time. We just don't realize we do. And David, for you to be able to say, I'm choosing this. I'm blocking out the television around me. I'm blocking out the energy of these people suffering around me. I'm walking through this creative path for myself is just extraordinary. So thank you for doing that, because I mean, I choose my thoughts, but thankfully I have not created the situation that you did. So I'm going to give you 1,000 times more credit than I give my own self. Were you also able to transfer these disciplines to your son? Was he kind of watching you in some of this? I don't want to take away from your story, but I know your son's looped in here also in how some of these practices work. Was he able to kind of climb in that same path while you were doing this?
Yeah, you know, our kids are very calm kids. They really are. And one of the things that he would do he would ask me, you know, what's going on with Dad, you know, when I would drive him to school or pick him up from school, that sort of thing. And there was just so much love and tenderness in his question and the way he would, you know, ask questions about Dad. I think he was maybe wanting to do it through me because he didn't want to bother, you know, oftentimes David was resting or whatever. So I could just tell in his very loving energy of where it came from. He was really picking up the calm that David was feeling and that I was feeling. And that was also very reassuring for him and our daughter as well. So
let's get into just a little bit, if you don't mind. I'd really love, so are you talking about, you know, did you start your day with this? Did the two of you sit down and do meditations? David, were you doing this a lot on your own? How many times a day? I mean, I don't want to get overly obsessive about, you know, your practice, but I know it's important to interface this into your reality on a demonstrative aspect of consistency in order to create that shift. And so I'd love to know how the two of you honored this practice. Was it always with both of you? Was it several times a day? Was there isolation points for you guys to nurture your own components through this journey? I mean, how did you sit down and say, this is what we're going to do and this is the approach we're going to take?
Well, a typical day would look like, if I was not going to treatment, then I'm a lifelong runner, love to exercise. That was out the window, but we would take walks on the golf course, and those walks became our gratitude walks. So it became a regular practice to trade gratitude phrases where I'd say, well, I'm really grateful that we have health insurance that's supporting us through that. And Tamara might say, you know, I'm grateful that our kids are, you know, able to cope with this without being totally stressed out. And we went back and forth on a walk, beautiful winter walk. And that was a staple of one of the things that got us into a positive mind space. It really, really was transformational, as simple and as cliche as it is. It took all those thoughts that are running around in our minds, or the information that we're being bombarded with, whether it's COVID-19 on TV or the doctors giving you sheets and information about the cancer treatment and the cancer and how big your tumor is and what we need to do next. It's really, really powerful tool to shift out of that and into what's right in my life and what's positive in my life. I would say that another thing that was regular for us was body movement, yoga, stretching, and also by being more in our bodies, it takes us out of our active minds. And so we would regularly have a practice of going to a particular yoga place where it was a combination of the yoga, stretching, and also meditation, inward reflection. And what you touched on, Casey, is about quieting our active minds, particularly in such intrusive informational places that we're living in. Okay, we can easily turn off the TV. That would be a great thing. Cut down on social media, wherever all this information is coming from. But then we have to start to quiet down the mind. And I'll let Tamara talk about that, because that's her area of brilliance. But once we can quiet down the mind and also start to become more in touch with our body, what's going on in our body, then things will calm down and life can settle into a manageable place.
And, cancer journey, just like COVID-19, right? Just like what we're going through now, I really started seeing it as an opportunity to, what are the creative ways that I can get present? Let's check this out. So when I was driving, I would mindfully focus on my hands and what my hands felt like on the steering wheel, right? Or when I would tap my indicator to go right or left, I would focus on, that feels interesting. I kind of feel that there's the pads right here, and I'm moving tendons as I make different movements with my hands, or, moving my head to look around the car, whatever. Washing the dishes, just really getting into what the soap felt like and what the water felt like. So that when you're focused on the sensations or using your senses, right? What you see, what you hear, what you feel, the sensory, the touch, all those things get you very present. The other things that I would pick up on, especially when I would be with David for hours in the infusion center, I started having these mind kind of games. And it's certainly, we have a series of very short, very brief videos to help people, give little tips, just like what we're talking about now through the COVID-19 crisis. But one of them is, wherever you are, just, you're counting the different shapes that you see. Okay, I see a, kind of a rectangle window, and I see a round tire out there. I see a car with a round window, and then there's a square, wall hanging or whatever, and you just keep focusing on shapes. And again, you're just so there in the moment with each thing, you can't help but be present. And it's fascinating. People will tell us that physical pain tends to go away, and emotional pain, the worry about, there's a really interesting thing that's coming up with COVID-19, and it's certainly true for cancer as well. It's a particular stage of grief or type of grief that's called anticipatory grief. And that's that unknown, the uncertain kind of thing, which creates so much overwhelm and confusion and stress, right? Well, you're not going to be anticipating anything when you're right there in the present moment. So I just found these really fun little things to do. And then when all else failed, I just took a nice deep breath.
Thank you so much for those suggestions, because we are hearing consistently from everybody, be present, be in the moment, but not enough actual tangible demonstrations of how to do that. Tamara, thank you for that presentation on that. COVID-19, through the energetic alignment of what it means, of wherever your attack is on the body, the physical location on the body has an energetic meaning to it, a spiritual meaning to it. Chinese medicine supports this. They've been around for 6,000 to 10,000 years. And the energy or the spiritual meaning behind the lungs, which is right where COVID attacks everybody, is grief. So it's so interesting that you just said that. This form of grieving is right in alignment with, this is everybody's opportunity to get rid of the grief in their life, to go deeper into understanding that grief isn't just about when somebody dies. Grieving is a process of loss. And everybody experiences that. From the time that we enter out of the womb to wherever you are, there is some impactful loss experience in your life that you may be clinging to in a repetitive pattern that creates a limitation in your life. So this is all, and your actions of getting that out of our wheelhouse, okay? Because we say that the altered ego is all about previous or next, and your soul is in the now. And right here in the now is where all the possibility lives. This is limitation before, this is limitation and perceived next. This is all possibility right now. This is where the magic happens. This is where the healing happens. This is where the transformation happens. And people just don't know how to get there. Some people do, who are masters of doing this. But people listening are just trying to find their way out of fear and panic right now, and want to know where can I put my mind right now. So Tamara, that is invaluable and priceless information. Thank you so much from my heart to yours on that. Once people start to see how their body calms, because you'll feel it, you know, you're starting to find that relief, and then make a decision that I'm going to create this more often in my day, in my life, in my existence. It really has a transformational impact. And I presume that your book and your audios and your programmings and things like that are really assisting people in leading them into those new components in their lives. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, one of the things that I believe is happening right now, Casey, with the COVID-19. So we have these, it's the loss, we're born with even the sadness that we've been carrying on from one generation, you know, up through our ancestral line, right? So we're kind of carrying this sadness, right? And you know, from that sadness, then in our particular life stream, there's traumatic things being said to us and happening to us, right? That's so raw and so painful, right? The ego then creates these other things along the ways, and those are, you know, the habits of thought, like negative thinking, or the habitual negative behaviors, like maybe drinking or over shopping or overthinking or, you know, worrying. And that just orbits around that original core sadness, pain, right? But the focus is here, which is trying to protect us from the core, the real pain. And this is one of the opportunities that I see. This is my own opinion here, but what I'm picking up when I go deep into meditation, COVID-19 is really getting, you can't avoid this anymore, people. You know, we're going to take away that, and now you have this. And so our programs, what we're doing is really helping you finally be with that. And, you know, you know, every feeling and emotion and fear and sadness and confusion that comes up, it's trying to do is leave our system so that we can continue to evolve to the next spiritual rung, you know, so to speak. And we're trying to help you release that, because it needs motion to release, right? That's really what we're all about.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you so much. As we come to a conclusion with this conversation for now, with David and Tamara, we're going to look forward to some further conversation with them. If you guys would please give everybody some of the information on how they can funnel themselves deeper in their connection with you via your website, your book, and some of your programs, please.
Yes, thank you. Our website is lovingmeditations.com, and information about everything that we do is on that website. In addition, we have we're on all the social media channels, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Just look for Loving Meditations there. And we are in the process of releasing a new video every couple of days that is specifically related to coronavirus, stress, fear, anxiety, uncertainty, and now the conversation is shifting into grief and loss as well. And if you will be come to our website and opt in to our mailing list, then we will put you in our queue to receive more of this kind of content. That it's also on our app, the Loving Meditations app, and but you can find everything you need on lovingmeditations.com.
Well, thanks again, everybody, for being with us with this inspirational story. David, thank you for choosing your experience, choosing to be here now in this timeline to contribute to those assisting others into their empowerment. Tamara, thank you for your extraordinary beingness, your love and your light and your guidance for not just your own family, but now generously expressing yourself to everybody out there. Thank you so much to the two of you. It's my honor to be in this conversation with you today. Any last inspirational words of wisdom for our viewers?
I would say we're all going through so much. If we can just compliment or acknowledge ourselves every single day for just getting out of bed. It's not easy. So give yourself so much kudos for even just getting out of bed and making it through another day.
And I would add to that like stage 4 cancer, what's going on today in the world with this medical crisis, let's look for the gift in every situation. There are gifts. And if we ask that question, what is the gift? We can start to open up to things that we never thought were possible.
And we wholeheartedly agree, looking for the opportunities in this extraordinary situation that is going on, and sending all of you our love and our empowerment and our encouragement. You're going to come out of the other side of this in an extraordinary place. We know that is true, and it is our desire to help assist you in getting there and perhaps being able to see that through your vantage point so you can definitively create that for yourselves. I am Casey Wallace, the host of COVID-19, the opportunities you didn't think of. I want to thank you, of course, for being with us. And stay tuned as we continue to have these extraordinary conversations to take you into a higher vibrational place. We'll see you next time.